Have you ever sat down to enjoy a perfectly cooked piece of fish, thinking you're doing something good for your health? Well, what if I told you that what's sitting on your plate might not be as safe as you think? Fish is often praised as a lean source of protein, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, and considered a staple of a healthy diet. But the dangers of fish consumption are becoming harder to ignore, especially with the way fish is caught, farmed, and processed today. In fact, research from the Environmental Working Group found that people who regularly eat fish can have mercury levels up to 5 times higher than those who rarely do. So in this video, we're going to take a closer look at why eating fish may not be as healthy or harmless as it seems. There has been a growing wave of scientific concern around how modern fishing and aquaculture practices are affecting the safety of what ends up on your dinner table. Now, the question is, what exactly are the risks and how can they impact your body over time? Keep watching as we uncover the top hidden dangers of eating fish that every consumer needs to know. Number 1, mercury and heavy metal contamination. Fish take in mercury and other heavy metals from their environment. Coal-fired power plants, mining operations, and industrial waste release mercury into air and water. Bacteria in water convert inorganic mercury into methylmercury. This form builds up in fish. Smaller fish ingest methylmercury from algae. Larger fish then eat many smaller fish, so mercury concentrates higher up the food chain. Big predators like tuna, swordfish, shark, tilefish, and king mackerel carry the most. When you eat fish with methylmercury, it is absorbed into your bloodstream. From there, it can cross the blood-brain barrier. The nervous system is especially vulnerable. In adults, chronic exposure can lead to memory loss, tremors, muscle weakness, and problems with coordination. It can also cause changes in mood and vision. Symptoms often develop slowly over months or years and may not be linked immediately to diet. Methylmercury also crosses the placenta, so pregnant women pass it to their unborn babies. The developing fetal brain is highly sensitive. Even moderate exposure can reduce IQ, delay speech, and affect attention span and fine motor skills. A study in the New England Journal of Medicine showed that children whose mothers had higher blood levels of methylmercury scored lower on tests of attention, language, and memory at age 7. These effects can last into adulthood. The body removes methylmercury slowly. The half-life in human tissue is about 50 to 70 days. Eating contaminated fish several times a week allows methylmercury to accumulate faster than it leaves. Over time, blood levels can rise to levels associated with the symptoms described above. Long-term exposure may also affect the heart. A study in Environmental Health Perspectives found that higher mercury levels correlated with increased risk of acute myocardial infarction among men. To reduce risk, follow consumption guidelines. The US Food and Drug Administration and Environmental Protection Agency recommend that pregnant and breastfeeding women, nursing mothers, and young children limit tuna steak, swordfish, and similar high mercury fish to 1 serving per week or less. Canned light tuna has lower mercury than albacore. Children under 6 should eat even smaller portions. Number 2, persistent organic pollutants, POPs. Persistent organic pollutants, or POPs, include industrial chemicals such as polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, dioxins, and certain pesticides like DDT. They resist degradation in soil and water. Once released, POPs cycle through the environment and accumulate in fatty tissue of living organisms. In water bodies, plankton absorb these pollutants. Small fish eat plankton, larger fish eat smaller fish, and POP levels grow higher at each step. Large predatory fish such as tuna, swordfish, king mackerel, and farmed salmon often carry the highest concentrations. When you eat fish containing POPs, the chemicals enter your body and store in your fat cells. Over time, they can disrupt hormonal systems. Some PCBs act like estrogen, interfering with normal signals. Dioxins bind to cellular receptors and influence gene expression. Both can weaken the immune system, reduce resistance to infection, and cause skin and liver disorders. High exposure has been linked to a greater risk of type 2 diabetes and certain cancers, including breast and prostate. In pregnant women, POPs stored in fat release into the bloodstream during pregnancy and breastfeeding. These chemicals cross the placenta and concentrate in breast milk. Studies have shown that infants exposed to higher PCB levels may experience slower growth, delayed motor skill development, and weaker immune responses. A long-term study in Denmark found that adults whose mothers had higher PCB levels when pregnant had slightly lower reproductive success and a higher incidence of thyroid disorders. Number 3, microplastics and nanoparticles. Plastic debris litters oceans, lakes, and rivers. Over time, the sun and waves break large items into smaller fragments called microplastics, less than 5 millimeters across, and nanoplastics, smaller than 0.01 millimeters. Marine life ingests these particles directly or through the food chain. Zooplankton eating algae that have absorbed microplastics pass them to small fish, which in turn pass them to larger predators. Studies have found microplastics in at least 25 commonly eaten fish species worldwide. When fish consume microplastics, the particles lodge in their digestive tracts. Laboratory research shows these fragments can cause inflammation, cell damage, and oxidative stress in fish intestines. Microplastics can also carry toxic chemicals from the environment, such as flame retardants, phthalates, and heavy metals, which attach to plastic surfaces. These pollutants then transfer to fish tissue. If you eat seafood containing microplastics, your gut is exposed to both the particles and attached chemicals. While most microplastics likely pass through without entering your body, nanoplastics may cross the intestinal barrier. Early animal studies suggest nanoplastics can enter the bloodstream and deposit in organs like the liver, kidneys, and even the brain. In mice, lifetime exposure to microplastics led to lower fertility, impaired liver function, and changes in gut bacteria linked to inflammation. Human health effects are not yet clear. Researchers worry that nanoplastics could trigger chronic inflammation in the gut or immune responses in other organs. Some studies link long-term particle exposure to conditions like leaky gut syndrome, where the intestinal lining becomes more permeable to toxins and bacteria. Chronic, low-grade inflammation may then raise the risk of autoimmune diseases and metabolic disorders. Number 4, allergens and foodborne illness. Fish ranks among the top food allergens worldwide, second only to shellfish. Allergic reactions occur when the immune system mistakes fish proteins for harmful invaders. Even a tiny amount of protein can trigger a response. Symptoms range from mild hives and itching to swelling of lips, tongue, and throat. In severe cases, anaphylaxis can develop within minutes, causing difficulty breathing, low blood pressure, and loss of consciousness. Anaphylaxis requires immediate injection of epinephrine and medical care. Unlike some childhood allergies, fish allergies usually do not go away. If you or a family member is allergic, strict avoidance is the only way to stay safe. Cross-contact is a major hazard. Cooking fish in shared oil can leave trace proteins that transfer to other foods. Even wiping a cutting board or grill without full cleaning may not remove all proteins. People with severe allergies must ask restaurants about separate preparation areas and dedicated utensils. Beyond allergies, fish can harbor bacteria, viruses, and parasites if not handled safely. Raw and undercooked fish pose a risk. Vibrio bacteria, especially Vibrio parahemolyticus and Vibrio vulnificus, live in warm coastal waters. Eating raw oysters or undercooked shrimp and shellfish can cause vomiting, diarrhea, and fever. In people with weakened immune systems or liver disease, Vibrio vulnificus can invade the bloodstream, leading to sepsis and death in up to half of cases. Number 5, environmental and sustainability concerns with health impacts. Overfishing has depleted many wild fish stocks. When populations collapse, Fisheries use more aggressive methods, like bottom trawling, that damage seafloors. Trawling stirs up sediments that may contain trapped pollutants, heavy metals, POPs, agricultural runoff, and releases them back into the water. Fish and shellfish in these areas can absorb higher contaminant levels, raising risks for consumers. Runoff from farms and cities carries nitrogen and phosphorus into coastal waters. These nutrients feed algal blooms. Some blooms create toxins that accumulate in fish and shellfish. Ciguatera poisoning comes from tropical reef fish that eat algae containing ciguatoxins. Symptoms start with nausea and vomiting and progress to neurological signs, tingling, numbness, and even reversal of hot and cold sensations. There is no antidote. Recovery can take weeks to months, and some effects may linger for years. Climate change shifts ocean temperatures and currents, moving fish migrations. Species that once stayed in tropical waters now appear in regions unprepared for them. People who fish locally may unknowingly catch ciguatera-prone species. Rising water temperatures also promote harmful algal blooms in areas that historically saw few. These blooms can spread toxins through seafood and cause mass die-offs of fish, harming food supplies. Aquaculture, fish farming, seems like a solution to overfishing, but it carries health risks when done poorly. Crowded pens create ideal conditions for parasites and diseases like sea lice and viruses. To treat these, farms use antibiotics and pesticides. Residues of these drugs can remain in fish tissue if withdrawal periods are not strictly enforced. Eating fish with antibiotic residues may alter your gut microbiome and contribute to antibiotic resistance, a global health threat. Waste from fish farms also accumulates under cages, causing low oxygen zones and releasing ammonia. These conditions kill bottom-dwelling species and reduce local biodiversity. Fewer species in the ecosystem means less natural filtration of pollutants. As water quality declines, wild fish near farms can accumulate higher levels of toxins themselves. To protect both your health and the environment, choose seafood certified by trusted programs. The Marine Stewardship Council certifies wild fisheries that meet criteria for sustainable stock levels, low environmental impact, and traceable supply chains. The Aquaculture Stewardship Council certifies farms that limit chemical use, protect local habitats, and ensure animal welfare. Number 6, histamine fish poisoning. Histamine fish poisoning, often called scombroid poisoning, arises when certain types of fish are not stored at the correct temperature after they are caught. Fish in the scombroid family, such as tuna, mackerel, bonito, and mahi-mahi, naturally contain high levels of the amino acid histidine. When these fish begin to spoil because they are kept above 4 degrees Celsius, bacteria on the fish convert histidine into histamine. Once formed, histamine is heat stable, meaning that cooking or freezing the fish does not reduce its level. If someone eats fish with elevated histamine, they can develop symptoms within minutes to a few hours. The initial signs often mimic an allergic reaction. The person may experience flushing of the face and neck, headache, and a burning or tingling sensation around the mouth. Some people also report an itchy rash on the torso and extremities. Gastrointestinal distress commonly follows with nausea, a feeling of fullness in the upper abdomen, and diarrhea. In more severe cases, the person may have rapid heartbeat, low blood pressure, and difficulty breathing. Because these effects can escalate quickly, medical attention is sometimes required, particularly if the person has underlying heart or lung conditions. Diagnosis can be challenging because the signs resemble anaphylaxis. However, an important clue is that more than one person who shared the same fish meal becomes ill. A rapid response to antihistamine medications such as diphenhydramine also helps differentiate histamine poisoning from true allergy. Laboratory confirmation is rarely done for individual cases, but regulatory agencies sometimes test fish samples when outbreaks occur. Such testing often reveals histamine levels far above the safe limit of 50 parts per million that many health authorities set. Preventing histamine fish poisoning depends entirely on proper handling. From the moment the fish is hauled on deck, it must be chilled rapidly, ideally on ice or in a refrigerated hold, and kept below 2 degrees Celsius until it is processed. Once the fish reaches the dock, the cold chain must continue through transport, storage, and retail display. Even a short period in a warm environment will allow bacteria to produce histamine. Retailers and wholesalers should train workers to monitor temperatures continuously and discard any fish that warms above the safe threshold. Number 7, parasitic worm infections beyond anisakis. While anisakiasis caused by the roundworm, Anisakis simplex, is the best-known parasitic infection from eating raw or undercooked marine fish, several other worm species can infect humans. One of the most widely reported is Diphyllobothrium latum, the fish tapeworm. This worm can grow to lengths exceeding 10 meters inside the human intestine. Infection occurs when people eat freshwater fish such as pike, perch, or trout that carry tapeworm larvae. Once ingested, the larvae attach to the intestinal wall and mature into adult tapeworms, absorbing nutrients from the host. Over time, the person may experience abdominal discomfort, diarrhea, and weight loss. In severe cases, the parasite can cause vitamin B12 deficiency, leading to anemia and neurological symptoms like tingling in the hands and feet. Recognizing fish tapeworm infection can be tricky because symptoms often develop slowly over weeks or months. The person may notice segments of the worm in their stool or feel something moving in the anus. Laboratory tests of stool samples can confirm the presence of tapeworm eggs or segments. Treatment requires a single dose of praziquantel, an antiparasitic drug that effectively paralyzes the worm so that it is expelled. Follow-up stool tests ensure the infection is cleared. Other lesser-known parasites include various trematodes, or flukes, which concentrate in freshwater and brackish water species. For example, Clinostomum complanatum, sometimes called the yellow grub, infects fish in lakes and rivers. If the fish are eaten raw or inadequately cooked, the parasite can attach to the person's throat or tonsils, causing a condition called Halzun syndrome. Symptoms include sore throat, coughing, and a feeling of a lump in the throat that can interfere with swallowing. Removing the fluke with forceps and prescribing anti-inflammatory medication provide relief. Gnathostoma spinigarum is another nematode found in fish in Southeast Asia and Latin America. Humans become accidental hosts when they eat undercooked freshwater fish containing the larvae. The larvae migrate through the body, causing painful migrating swellings under the skin, known as cutaneous larva migrans. If the larvae enter the central nervous system, a rare but serious condition called neurognathostomiosis can develop, leading to headaches, seizures, and paralysis. Treatment involves prolonged courses of albendazole or ivermectin, and recovery can be slow. Preventing these parasitic infections requires thorough cooking or freezing of fish. Freezing fish at -20 degrees Celsius for at least 7 days kills most tapeworm and fluke larvae. Cooking to an internal temperature of 63 degrees Celsius or higher for several minutes also destroys parasites. However, cooking practices vary widely around the world, and traditional dishes that feature raw or lightly cured fish, such as sushi, sashimi, ceviche, and pickled herring, pose ongoing risks. Chefs must follow strict freezing guidelines, and home cooks should be cautious about attempting these dishes without reliable equipment. Number 8, antibiotic and hormonal residues in aquaculture. Fish aquaculture has grown rapidly to meet the global demand for seafood, but raising fish in concentrated pens or ponds introduces health concerns tied to the use of antibiotics and hormones. Farmers commonly use antibiotics to prevent and treat bacterial diseases that spread easily in crowded conditions. They may also apply hormonal growth promoters, although these are banned or restricted in many countries, to speed growth and improve feed efficiency. When antibiotic or hormone treatments are misused, residues can remain in fish tissue and eventually reach the consumer's plate. Eating fish with antibiotic residues can have subtle but serious health effects. Low-level antibiotics ingested regularly may disrupt the balance of bacteria in the human gut, known as the microbiome. An imbalanced microbiome has been linked to digestive disorders such as irritable bowel syndrome, as well as metabolic issues like obesity and type 2 diabetes. More concerning is the role of these residues in fostering antibiotic resistance. Bacteria exposed to subtherapeutic antibiotic levels can develop resistant genes, which they may pass to human pathogens. Antibiotic-resistant infections are harder to treat and require stronger medications with more side effects. Some regions still allow antibiotics deemed critical for human medicine to be used in aquaculture. Residue monitoring programs vary by country. In places with weak regulation or enforcement, antibiotic levels in fish can exceed safe limits set by bodies such as the Codex Alimentarius Commission. Consumers cannot see or taste these residues, and conventional cooking does not destroy them. As a result, the only way to avoid them is by choosing products tested and certified to be antibiotic-free. Hormonal growth promoters, though less common, also pose a risk. Even low doses of hormones such as estrogen or testosterone analogues can affect human endocrine function. Exposure may raise the risk of hormone-sensitive conditions like certain cancers or reproductive disorders. Children and pregnant women are especially vulnerable because hormones play crucial roles in development. In response, many countries have banned hormone use in aquaculture, but black market products and lax testing can still lead to contaminated fish reaching markets. To reduce exposure, consumers should look for certified labels indicating that fish are raised without antibiotics or hormones. Programs such as Best Aquaculture Practices audit farms for drug use, water quality, and animal welfare. Marine Stewardship Council and Aquaculture Stewardship Council certifications also cover antibiotic management. Retailers committed to transparency may publish test results or list approved suppliers. Cooking or freezing does not eliminate antibiotic or hormone residues. These compounds are stable under normal culinary conditions. The only effective defense is prevention at the farm level. Responsible farmers use vaccines, probiotics, and improved husbandry, such as lowered stocking densities and optimized nutrition, to reduce disease without antibiotics. Regulatory agencies must enforce maximum residue limits and conduct random testing at points of sale. If this video opened your eyes, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Don't forget to subscribe for more straight-up health facts without the fluff. And as always, take care of your body because no one else will do it for you. See you in the next video.